Okay, finally we got some decent weather over here in northern Arizona, and I got this sucker to work. First issue I had was late primer strikes, which is due to the hammer spring design. Initially I wanted to build something like an M1911 design that comes from here and acting on the hammer. Doesn't work. There's simply not enough space here, so I put in a spring in this area. This is a 2mm spring wire cold band, and the problem is that they seat rapidly, so I always had to use a new spring, because this spring I used before the live fire demo, the tip of the spring was 15mm above that edge, and see where it is now after just 6 rounds. It's seating so rapidly it just requires a professionally made spring. So it will sooner or later develop light primer strikes again. The next issue was the old beaten up shotgun I used. I have several of these Remington 11s. I used the oldest one, 10,000 something, low serial number, and I had to replace the locking block because this guide rail was almost sheared off. The link to the locking block was broken here, replaced. Firing pin was broken. The second one had a broken firing pin as well, and it has been re-welded. The magazine tube, which is bearing all the stress, it's screwed in the receiver tube here, and then it's the barrel slamming forward, slamming against the wooden handguard, and the wooden handguard is slamming against that end cap. So all the stress is going on that receiver tube. And there are some very deep scratches in that original receiver tube that probably come from some improperly manufactured spring that has some sharp edges here. So this will develop sooner or later cracks here. Replace that one. So then we have the issue of wear over the years or decades. That barrel, that part of the barrel here, is slamming into the wooden handguard. That's why they're usually all cracked after some heavy use. And what happens is it's compressing the wood as well, so that the barrel is going forward a little bit over time. And I experienced ejection issues, not when I was cycling it manually, but when I operated it like it is when it is live fired. So the live firing is the barrel and the bolt going back all the way to the rear. The bolt is caught in the rear position, the barrel goes forward and the shell goes out. But this did not work, only when I was dry cycling like this. And I couldn't figure out why. I went to the internet, they had the same issues, but apparently there was no help, so I stumbled across by random, because I didn't use all the time my original handguard when I did this. Sometimes just to spare me some scratches here on the collar, and just use the old handguard. And when I used the old handguard, it suddenly worked. So what's the difference? I figured out exactly that issue. You can see that here, hope you can see that here, that the original barrel, that is the beginning barrel extension, should fit flush with the front end of the receiver, but it does not. It has come out a little bit because it has compressed the wooden handguard here a bit. So actually it should fit like this. And this was a problem here, because the length of the ejection port was too short at my gun. What happens here at the original design, the barrel moves a little bit forward, and the carrier dog and the charging handle, these both surfaces which hold the bolt in a bolt hold open position, they get some wear too, so that the bolt face is moving a little, or the bolt all together, but the bolt face is moving a little bit to the front. So these both kinds of wear cancel each other out, so that the length of your ejection port stays the same. But my handguard was so fitted that the barrel was moving back in the original position, like when the guns come from the factory. And suddenly my ejection port was too short. Ejection port is not that opening in the receiver. The actual ejection port is that front edge of the barrel and your bolt face. So what to do? I had to make the bolt coming a little bit back in the bolt open position. So what I did is welding on some material on that surface of the charging handle, and that finally gave me that a little bit more than 1 millimeter, 1.2 millimeter more to the rear, and that was enough to for the fired shell to clear the ejection port. But there's not much over travel in that system. You can see that it's not even 2 millimeter, and you cannot put the bolt all the way to the back because there must be some play for the carrier dog to engage the bolt. Otherwise, the bolt just goes forward with the barrel and it does not unlock. So these are the tiny little things you have to fight with when working with such old guns and then such worn out guns. There are a few more things to tell about it and to show. I will leave that for Tom, for my favorite FFalien Kingman. He wants to post some pictures of the guts in file files. Chuck from Gun Lab wants to make a post on this too. They all want to buy it. Sorry guys, you ain't got enough money to separate me and that bitch. Well, Chuck, maybe your MG42. In exchange, you can keep the tripod. Okay, over there is waiting my next toy to mess with. In a little bit less than 8 weeks, I have to return to Gun Hostile Germany, and so I'm heading forward to my next project. See you next time.